There you go.
It's our Sunday night hangout. I wore my Penn State shirt for Darren. I assume Darren isn't here immediately, but I'm sure he'll catch on and see it eventually. Um, it's our Week 5 recap college football show, Week 6 preview. It's not often that I feel like I really want to start by tooting our own horn, but we were very heavy on take-home dogs this past week. Um, sat here a week ago at this exact time saying home dogs, home dogs, home dogs. We had some big misses in doing that, but that's kind of part of it, right? We don't need to win all of them. It doesn't matter how bad you lose them. It's just win more than you lose, and even then, you could probably go 40% and cash out on enough home dogs if you're taking them
Yeah.
right. And but we were really close on a couple. Wake Forest would have been a nice big one there, but overall, we had some really good ones. Starting with the one behind you there, the hanging in the Louvre photo of the Virginia student section who could not have been on the field faster at the end of that double overtime win.
That was probably the greatest field rush I've ever seen. I believe that I mentioned last week that it was the 30th anniversary of them beating Florida State in 95. I was touting it all week, and it happened again, man. I thought the theme of the week, if I was to put one word on the theme, it was survive. And there was some people that did, and there was some people that didn't. But the weekend was touted as being a big week with great games across the board, and they delivered just in spades. We've been very fortunate the last 2 weeks to have a ton of great games, and they've all kind of delivered.
Yeah, it's been really. I mean, Friday night alone was fantastic. All 3 games were great. You had the Florida State game that obviously we just talked about. I'm trying to set up my screens here. The TCU Arizona State game was also fantastic. Yeah. The ender that was really late was that Houston Oregon State game that was really fun. Obviously, I don't think it's one that many were really staying up for, but that Houston team stays undefeated. There were some really good games on Friday, and then it quickly spilled over on the Florida State end of things. They went down 14-0 really quick in that one, and it was mostly turnovers. So they moved the ball well, and I felt like in that moment, I was like, the second they go down 14-0, I'm ready to hammer them money line because I already had the Virginia side of it, and the line barely moved. It was like they was very confident that Florida State would come back. They did quickly, but it just felt like Virginia surprisingly was able to answer it, which I think was the most interesting part of that for me. There was that Virginia was able to punch back even when they got punched in the face.
I think I was most surprised at how well Virginia was able to run the football. I expected Chandler Morris to be able to move the football through the air. I thought that in this kind of a result, he was going to need a throw for 300 plus. But they ended up actually running the football and kind of staying ahead. And I think it more so had to do with the turnover battle. But it was really an even turnover battle with the 3 interceptions to the 2 interceptions and then the fumble from the Florida State side. But what are we saying if Deuce Robinson just catches the ball and holds on to it? Like that was just an egregious drop. It was an Adonai Mitchell-esque play to an extent where I guess he had some popcorn on the sidelines and forgot to take the gloves off before he ate.
And he had a great game too, which is the I'm sure the rough part for him. He was playing fantastic, and for that to be the lasting image for him in that game is tough because he was excellent. I'm sure I'll talk more Florida State coming up in our Week 6 preview, so I don't want to hang on them too long. I do want to ask, how long can Kenny Dillingham stay on at Arizona State at this rate? Because it feels like someone's going to come calling.
I don't think he's ever going to leave. His background, I don't know how familiar our audience will be with it. He went to Arizona State. He was a coach or played at Chaparral High School, which is right down the road. And I think because of his local ties, I doubt he wasn't a college football player. I'm pretty sure. I think he just went there. I believe he got hurt at Chaparral his senior year and then attended Arizona State. But I don't think he's going to want to go anywhere. He's really kind of spoken to wanting to have a culture, not leave, build this team into what it can be. And he's really done it very quickly considering what he took over. What he took over was just an abomination left by Herm Edwards and a bunch of delinquents from the NFL that couldn't get jobs anymore, and they found a way to siphon paychecks. Jordan Tyson is one of the top 5 wide receivers in the country at worst. He's just an absolute monster. Gets about 50% of the volume every week, specifically from the receiving core. They have pieces around them, but they've even managed to make it look like Malik McClain is actually a okay player, a role player, we'll say, that no other team could make him be. And Sam Levitt is probably in the Heisman consideration. We'll come back around to that because I actually am curious where you are on that. I thought Hoover was leading the way if he could put up a monster game here, and he absolutely tanked. I think he's fully out. Also, shame on coaching staffs for not having injury reports with my guy Eric McAllister, who allegedly pulled a hamstring in the Friday walkthrough or the Thursday walkthrough prior to this game and barely saw the field, thus making me light money on fire. So,
yeah. We love lighting money on fire. Well, Virginia was our first home dog take a shot at it of the week. Our second one was well, at least it was mine, but it was this Wake Forest Georgia Tech game. I think if Robbie Ashford doesn't get hurt in the third quarter of this game, Wake Forest does win it.
Yeah, he came back in.
They were moving the ball very well. Ashford came out, I think it was the 30s, and it just the Wake offense stalled, who had been really possessing the ball that entire second and quarter into the third. Georgia Tech punched them quick back, and obviously they failed the 2-point conversion there at the end. But to your point earlier, it's survive week, and Georgia Tech did.
Yeah, and Damon Claiborne was the reason.
Did I lose you?
No, I got you. Yeah, Damon Claiborne was fully the reason. Okay. Robbie Ashford did come back in the game. He missed, I believe, a series there. If he had stayed out, they were dead. The tide had fully changed.
I think it was 2. I think it was 2 series.
Yeah, and then Haynes King put the team on his back, per usual. With them undefeated, I think he's probably in the conversation. Eric Rivers had a great game. It was interesting. This was a full-on survival mode, and we expect that out of this team when they end up playing these road games against these subpar ACC teams. They just kind of relax. They're very good against high competition, though.
Yeah, they very much just. I think it's also just their play style. It's not easy for them to just run away from teams, and if a team like Wake Forest plays keep away, it will scrunch the game down, make the margin for error tight for them, and that's going to be tough. The quote unquote marquee game of the early window, that ABC slot, was the Notre Dame at Arkansas game. We were on Arkansas, and I don't think anyone on Arkansas played defense. They are the worst defense in the country. Obviously, Sam Pittman fired today. We have Bobby Petrino, Arkansas head coach, back in. But that was an insanely poor defensive effort from Arkansas. They're terrible on that side of the ball.
Yeah, Jeremiah Love 4 touchdowns, so we appreciated his service.
And he's great. I want to give him his credit. He's great. Good God, I mean, they couldn't tackle anybody.
It's officially bow season, and Arkansas will not have a fan at the game for the rest of the season until basketball.
Yeah, I mean, to me, I don't really know what to take away from the Notre Dame side of this. They executed well. They did what they had to do. I think on a national TV game for them, which is probably all of them, but obviously because of Notre Dame's branding. But they need to look this kind of way as often as they can, because the schedule isn't some overwhelming. Yes, they truly deserve it. They're going to have to get there on their resume and the branding and that they have. So yeah, I think this was a big one for them.
Yeah. No, I mean, there's not a lot you could take away from that. CJ Carr looked very competent against what is a glorified FCS defense.
Illinois was a home dog this week to USC. We were there, and Illinois wins that one at the gun at a field goal. They damn near put it away early, fumbled it away in the red zone. Credit to USC. They managed to come back down, take that lead, and have the chance there. I did enjoy Lincoln Riley complaining that they have to play the earliest time slot in the day, and it's like, man, if only you could play these games regionally, that would have been so. Like if you got like 12 West Coast teams together.
Yeah. It would be great, right? If you get 12 teams, I don't know, in the Pacific time zone to play one another.
12
Now, I
Pacific.
did look at their schedule going forward. They play, I believe, one game on the not in the West Coast for the rest of the season. So lines up pretty nice for SC going forward. Wayman Jordan, fabulous player. Touchdown, George Pickens. Makai Lemon, Makai Lemon had a absolute stud game considering Jacoby Lane was limited, and I thought Altmaier looked great too. Just a fabulous game from him. He was just dominant. And I would like to say that my guy Justin Bowick, who I like to talk about repeatedly, he caught a touchdown. I do like Justin Bowick. He's very good. Touchdown, Justin Bowick. He only had one catch. He made me nervous, but he caught one.
The fun game that I'll just quickly touch on today, and in that window was the Cincinnati Kansas game. That the points were everywhere, and then obviously the Louisville Pitt game was also super fun. Louisville shuts them out in the second half to come back and win that one. A little karma for the ball boy. I don't know what we'd call him.
Yeah, that was funny. Yeah, the
Manager.
ball man. Yeah, the ball man. I also would like to touch on, I had that up, the Kansas-Cincinnati game. Shout out Brendan Sorsby. Heck of an effort there. Cyrus Allen from Louisiana Tech fame and previously Texas A&M, where he was terrible. Great game out of him. Jalen Daniels looked like the old Jalen Daniels in that game. Also, Lance Leipold. Hey, idiot. Run the freaking ball with your big fat tailback, LaShawn Williams, who's averaging over 7 a carry during the early portion of the game when you're at the goal line, not your scrawny little quarterback. You moron. You cost me a ton of money there. Just saying.
Yeah, that hurt. You can tell where the money's at in terms of that analysis, of course. Speaking of not being able to run the ball, I don't know if you saw Lane Kiffin's dog tweet out a hat that said Brian Kelly can't run the ball. That team can't run the ball. It seemed like they found something with Harlem Berry towards the end of the game with Caden Durham out, but LSU goes to Ole Miss, loses this one. Obviously, Ole Miss not in our home dog collection, but it just feels like it's one of the situations where when you see a team getting by with an issue, the issue is going to catch up to them. And at this point, I don't know what to do with Garrett Nussmeier at this point. Your preseason in the group of Heisman favorites, number 1 overall pick kind of guys. And look, he refused to answer questions over whether or not he's hurt. Kelly says he's healthy. If he's healthy, he's playing poorly enough to be sat. If he's injured, he could probably sit. He's got a bye week to figure out whatever the problem is. But right now, that I think this result, as poorly as LSU's offense played, was just, that's who they've looked like through 4 weeks. That's what they've looked like.
I would say that the problem, Nussmeier could be hurt, but they've looked like this since the start of the season. So unless he came into the season hurt.
Well, I mean, you remember in August, they had the rumors that he was going to be out for the year with a knee injury.
Yeah, he had the knee thing, yes.
Which was not a thing.
Even still, he's a pocket passer.
Correct, but so Kelly's truly, it looks like a throwing motion issue, some kind of, and Kelly mentioned something kind of core injury that he was dealing with.
Core
Either
muscle.
Way, but you can't tell me he's healthy and play him, and then regardless. But in terms of like the quarterbacks that were expected to be big coming into the year, Nussmeier, huge disappointment. Can't hit a deep ball to save his life at this point. Obviously, Arch Manning in the same class, Cade Klubnik.
Yeah,
the group of quarterbacks you expected to lead the group. Yeah, we'll get to Aller in a second. Just nothing from them, any of those guys, and it's pretty disappointing to sit here and think like, what does quarterback look like in this conference or in college football? And maybe the answer is just Trinidad Chambliss.
So interesting thing here. LSU, we could say, all right, let's just say Nussmeier's hurt. Let's just say that. Let's say he's hurt.
I mean, he has to be. I mean, there's no other. I mean, he's 5 to 10 yards short on every deep ball.
It's clearly affecting his decision making as well.
Well, his decision making is already garbage, but that's
exactly. But let's just cover those two things off. They didn't even try to run the football in the first half. You could tell me, hey, Nussmeier's hurt. We're going to try to maybe establish the run game against a very poor defensive line, probably one of the worst that Lane Kiffin's had in his tenure specifically, and maybe one of the worst in the last 20 years at Ole Miss. And even with Durham out, Barry, good runner. Jawan Johnson, decent runner. Jawan Johnson had one carry in the whole first half. I think Harlem Berry had one or two. I think Xavier Thomas had three. They didn't even try to run the
Yeah, they
football.
use Avian Thomas. Yeah.
It's not even like they tried to run the football. So we can't even say that wasn't even part of the game plan to even figure out how to run the football, where you should have an advantage in theory. But to your point with Trinidad Chambliss, I do like this kid. He's playing great. I don't see how you bench him. I don't
think
see
you can.
how
I
you
think
bring.
Ole Miss has clearly tripped into a new starting quarterback.
I think you can redshirt Austin Simmons if he hasn't redshirted already. But worst case scenario, you just let Austin Simmons sit. He's still got years left. Chambliss, I mean, he was what, the D2 national champion? What was it, Ferris State maybe?
Ferris State,
But
yeah.
yeah, he was dominant there. So I think you're going to start seeing some more of these guys, come up. Obviously, we have FCS superstar Mark Gronowski, who's not quite. He picked a bad system. I'm just going to say he picked a bad system. If he went to a better system, we'd have something. Look at Maverick McIver. He comes up doing great. You had plenty of guys that have come up from the FCS that do well. Cam Ward was formerly at Incarnate Word previously as well. You get these guys, they play quarterback, they know how to win. I mean, that's Trinidad Chambliss. I like Michael Van Buren personally. I think he's going to end up being very good for LSU eventually. I thought it was a great signing by them. I just don't know that. I don't know, man. I feel like if you go away from Nussmeier, you better have a really good reason. They might have to put X-rays out.
Well, so on Ole Miss, they got a bye here this week. Then they host Washington State. To me, this is a playoff team at this point, and I don't see how they don't end up there. It's Washington State. It's at Georgia, at Oklahoma, back to back. Obviously not easy, but they could totally afford to lose both. It's South Carolina, the Citadel, Florida, and then Egg Bowl at Mississippi State could be the decider on that. But I mean, at this point, I'm looking at this Ole Miss team and the schedule going, that's a playoff team.
It's a very easy schedule, but
it's a very easy schedule.
Remember, Lane Kiffin losing games he shouldn't lose is very easy. They were the only SEC win for Kentucky last year, and it was in Oxford. I don't trust Lane Kiffin to win any games, but I'm just not willing to chalk them up for a guaranteed win in any game.
That's fair, but the path is very clear for them.
Oh, they have the easiest SEC schedule of any team this year.
Yeah, it is straight in front of him. It's Lane make the playoff this year, and I feel like if he doesn't, let me ask you this. I was considering this weekend. Does he ever consider leaving? Is
No.
This he's been there long enough now? He's established enough. He's got a program. He's in the SEC. He's good because obviously Florida fans think they can get him. They think he's the first call. And I kept wondering, like, at this point, Lane's in the SEC. He has a program established. Unless he just wanted to live somewhere better, but I don't think Gainesville's that.
Look, my thing is from Lane's perspective. All right, Lane has failed and tried all jobs, all manners of jobs, from NFL to high-end college. And he's failed at all of them until he came to Oxford. And I don't know that he has necessarily succeeded at Oxford either. The difference is Ole Miss is happy being 9-3 and on the fringe of being a playoff team. Lane Kiffin can get you there every single year. So Lane can be perfectly happy at 9-3, making tens of millions of dollars a year and have no problems. I don't see, if I'm Lane Kiffin, why in the world would I upset the apple cart?
I guess my wonder would be, does Lane think he can win? Is Lane happy going 9-3, 10-3, being that fringe team, or does he think he's capable or needs to win that? That's, obviously that answer's in Lane's head, but I mean, the guy's competitive. The guy loves talking smack. So, I mean, who's to say? We were on Washington against Ohio State. It looked great for a half. And then, Ohio State just leaned and leaned and leaned and eventually just managed to put away Washington that way that they tend to do. They're just a good roster, and that kind of is where Ohio State is at this point. They are loaded in talent and can just do that to you.
Yeah, and they took away Denzel Boston, which was the only outside weapon that DeMond Williams had. I also would like to point out I kept hyping up how good of or how accurate of a passer DeMond Williams is. He finished the game 18 of 22. I mean, he just doesn't throw incompletions. I don't understand it. He doesn't throw for a lot of yards in these big games like this, but anytime he's under, he just finds a way to complete passes and not turn the football over. I don't know how he does it. It's amazing. Um, we have officially unlocked the next great Ohio State running back. His name is Bo Jackson. I believe his first name's Lamar, but it's Bo Jackson. He's going to be so good. He's past James Peoples. James Peoples is officially not involved in this backfield anymore, and
Good, put him away.
you might have had your last opportunity to play CJ Donaldson in fantasy last weekend when you decide to leave $3,000 on the table, and he just nut. You have the ultimate nut outcome of 2 touchdowns on 10 touches.
I mean, it worked out.
I hate
I
you.
mean, yeah, it always works out for me that way.
It does. He can't keep getting away with this.
It happens. I don't know how I find it every time. Tennessee at Mississippi State. We liked Mississippi State plus the points. They took that one overtime. Obviously had a chance to win that one late. Fun game. Mississippi State, good team. Was it Saban took the question on game day Saturday morning and said most surprising or most underrated undefeated team, and he took Mississippi State. It's a good team they've got going there, and I don't know. They really had a chance to win this one. Disappointed they obviously didn't, but I think it's one of those signs too where Tennessee's showing holes that'll eventually catch up with them as well. But I think Mississippi State better than people are giving them credit for. Honestly, felt like they probably should have been ranked going into this week, but here we are.
Yeah, I would say if you told me Mississippi State was going to score 34 points, I would have told you I was going to win a lot of money this weekend. And then all of a sudden, Fluff Bothwell popped up. My boy, Fluff, popped up for 134-2 on the ground, and Blake Shapen did nothing through the air. I was so disturbed. Brennan Thompson got hurt in the first half. That really sapped my bags of any chance that I had in this game. I enjoyed the heck out of this game. It was on the on one of the 4 TVs. For sure, but it was a fabulous game. I was really hoping Mississippi State would actually pull off the upset, though.
One game we did talk about last week too. Memphis put it on Florida Atlantic. They obviously were in a bit of a battle there. We talked about how it would be tricky if they slept through it, but they put up 31 in the fourth to kind of run away there. But another good win for a team fighting for a playoff spot in the group of 5s collection there. One other note I want to mention: teams showing signs that are going to catch up to them. We've talked about Marcel Reed, the inconsistency that would be coming for this A&M offense. It was there this week. They managed to beat Auburn at home because that Auburn offense is clearly terrible. I think they had -2 yards of offense in the second half or something. But it does feel like that A&M loss is coming at some point. To who, I don't know, but it's one of those you can feel that the offensive inconsistency will catch up to them. Mississippi State this upcoming weekend could be that.
I agree with that. Now, can A&M survive because this is the first year that they're really a multifaceted team? So, like, the pass offense was absolutely abysmal last week, but Le'Veon Moss was able to strap the team to his back. And then in games where they can't really run the ball as well, granted, they have 3 great options in the backfield as runners. In games where they can't really run the ball, Casey Concepcion and Mario Craver are just a fabulous 1-2 punch on the outside. I ultimately think this A&M defense is very exploitable. I just think that my guy, Jackson Arnold, I'm going to keep saying he's my guy because I claimed him already, and I'm going to keep claiming him. He just has 0 pocket awareness. And I don't understand how you can't find a way. Ohio State, look at Ohio State, right? They know how to scheme open Jeremiah Smith. How can you not? You saw that play where Washington brought the blitz, and they put 4 wideouts out as blockers, and Jeremiah just caught the ball, walked into the end zone because there was a whole bunch of people blocking for him, and Julian Sand just had to throw him the football. Why can't we get Cam Coleman the football? Like, he had no shot at anything, and then Jackson Arnold needs to understand how to step up into a pocket. I know their run game stinks. I keep talking about their run game stinking. Jeremiah Cobb, Damari Alston stink. That was my takeaway when I did the preview on this team. Their wide receivers are great, although Malcolm Simmons was absolutely terrible in this game. I don't know what he was doing. He was running bad routes. I did not like his route running in this thing. I thought Eric Singleton looked great. I know Cam Coleman's a great player. I just thought overall this offense did not look in sync. I was really hoping when they interviewed Hugh Freeze at one point, he was going to go, yeah, I'm really not liking my play caller for first or second down, so I'm just going to pull all 3 downs on the rest of this thing.
When you described that play with the screen setup, it just made me think of the Caden Proctor screen that Bama pulled out
awesome.
that damn near went for a touchdown. Probably my favorite play of the day, to set up a screen to your left tackle.
That was awesome, number one. And number two, it was the justification on the broadcast that they did it because he met his weight loss goal. They were like, hey, he's down to 360. We can throw him the ball now. I was like, Jesus.
And to use it in a game you really had to have at Georgia. But I mean, hats off to Alabama. I think I was at least on Alabama this week. Georgia's defense being suspect at some point had to catch up to him, and Alabama put it to him in the first half and was able to hang on. Georgia with some questionable, head coaching decisions, not taking points there to tie the game late, but ultimately playing to win. And I think that's kind of what Georgia's earned through their reputation of the way they've been so far. And that's just, we play to win. And I can't fault them for the way it's been for them so far in the last, 4 or 5 years. It's worked. So this time, obviously, it fell against them, but hats off to Bama to going into Georgia and winning this game.
Well, yes, I 100% agree. I thought Bama deserved it. I would like to point out the worst beat of the weekend was taking the over at 52.5 in this one. It was 38 points at half, and the Penn State game was at 6 at half, and the Penn State game ended up outscoring this game because they scored 7 points total in the second half, and they finished at 45 total. The over-under at halftime was 63.5. I was getting 11 points of positive. I got my money in at 11 points positive at halftime in this game. And yet somehow they could not score. Ryan Williams continues to not show up. He dropped a wide open touchdown down the middle. Zach Branch, I don't understand why Georgia didn't try to stretch the field in this one. Zach Branch would have been a very good option. They just play too east-west for me. I wish they would play a little more north-south, and you really can't run hurry up with Cash Jones and get him on the edge. Gunnar Stockton just was not there. I don't know. Something was off. Something was really off. Ty Simpson actually looked the part, though. I can tell you that. I really think Ty Simpson looks pretty good. Neither one of these. Chauncey Bowens might have Wally pipped your boy Nate Frazier. 12 carries, 119 in this one. Georgia found a run game, and they tried to stick to it. They needed Bowens in the game instead of Cash Jones. They needed a Cash Jones wheel route. That's what they needed, but they didn't run it.
The wheel route is what ended up ending Penn State's game there, right? In overtime, the throw, I believe it was a wheel route up the sideline there. Like you mentioned, a very low scoring. The text I was getting was, this is like watching the old SEC. This was 10 years ago, SEC football. It was fast, strong athletes all over the field, but it just doesn't seem like anybody is capable of moving the ball more than 6 yards at a time. And that's how the game was played for pretty much 3 full quarters. And then you mentioned its points explosion there at the end. Aller throwing the interception in double OT to finish it. I mean, first of all, Aller looks like every quarterback that Penn State's had for the last 15 years, like we talked about. In case Darren's watching, I know I said at the top, but I got my shirt on for you. Salute, Darren. Wasn't your week, but I'm here with you. I felt like I left this game going, Penn State's kind of exactly who I thought they were.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. They're going to run the football.
But I mean,
But even then, it wasn't explosive. Like, look at Nick Singleton. He averaged under 2 yards a carry. I mean, what more of a disappointment did we have this week than Nick Singleton in this game? It was a Katron Allen, grinded out game. They paid all that money for Kyron Hudson and Trevor Pena in the offseason. Remember, Trevor Pena, his head coach said when he was at Syracuse, I ain't paying $2 million for some wide receiver. Well, Penn State ponied up some cash. and went and got him. They combined for 2 catches for 16 yards in this one. The best guy was the transfer out of Troy, Devontae Ross, who had 4 catches, 48 yards, and 2 touchdowns. He was the best player on offense for them, very clearly. Drew Aller still hasn't thrown for more than 250 yards in a game, and I don't know how long. It feels like forever. And it threw for 137 yards in a game that went to double overtime. Like, that's embarrassing.
Again, they scored 24 points.
I really thought that Penn State, Oregon, I was sitting there in the middle of this game going, man, where's the explosives out of Oregon? Like, I expected to see explosives in this thing. Now, I will say, I thought Dante Moore looked great. He was effective, efficient. DeCorian Moore was effective, efficient. They just never hit those big shot plays. They used like 97 different running backs, none of which are Mekhi Hughes. He did not travel with the team. They paid a lot of money for him, and they're not going to use him, and he's going to end up transferring. Shout out to Dan Lanning, though, man. If you're not willing to to sit on the sideline or be a part of the team or fit into the culture, he's going to say, I don't care what we paid for you. You're out of here. And you can tell because there was a big-time transfer out of Purdue that made that game-winning interception in Dylan Thieneman.
This team just seems to do what they need to do to win. I feel like they're playing in the chip on their shoulder version of felt like they should have been the champions last year and feel like they're on that kind of collision course. I'm really excited to watch them versus Indiana coming up. That's their next game. Their schedule is fairly, I don't say soft, but
easy. It's an easy schedule
the rest of the way.
They should be able to mostly run the table. They got
USC, Washington should be fun.
Yeah, and
we'll
USC,
see what
Washington,
Iowa looks like because that for me is just a very gross road trip for Oregon.
Oregon's just not a dominant team. There is no dominant team in college football this year. Very clearly.
No, but you're looking for teams who can do what it takes to win. And that's been my argument for why I felt like LSU belongs in the class for teams that could do it because of Garrett Nussmeier. It's why I've argued for teams like Ohio State, who has the defense that'll keep them in and can consistently lean on you with different running backs and keep things going. Texas the same way. If Arch ever figures it out, there are the teams that have the things that will keep them in. It's just, can you make the plays? It's why we talked about Georgia Tech at the beginning of the year as a team who can win the ACC because, like you said at the beginning of the show, they are able to grind these games out, keep things contentious, keep it close, and when it gets down to it, they know their guys just going to throw everything on their back and carry it. Looking at Penn State's schedule, I'm really interested in what they look like going to Iowa in a couple of weeks. Obviously, I'm sure they'll destroy UCLA and Northwestern. It was funny leading into the game on game day. They were talking about, obviously, they were talking a ton about the Penn State-Oregon game. They were there at State College, and Kirk Herbstreit on his discussion about the Penn State offense, and it was, everyone says the offense hasn't been good, but it's just they haven't had to be. Look who they've played. I promise you, they've got so many great play calls, so much. They've kept everything vanilla so that way they could break out the playbook this past week. I don't know who said that in their production meetings to him. It was a lie.
Yeah, we've been fed this narrative for years and we've never seen it. I do believe in Andy Kotelnicki. I just think that it's probably more of a James Franklin thing. And him saying, hey, I don't want to open this thing up. Oh, by the way, that fumble, because I didn't have the sound on that game. I actually had the sound on a different game at that point. The fumble by, was it Whittington, and they called him down? Was it because he grazed the grass? I didn't get a good look at it because like I said, I'm watching 4 games at once. So I didn't get it close. I missed the actual end of the replay. But I thought Penn State had recovered that fumble. And then next thing you know, they had Oregon had the ball back. That threw me a bit there. I didn't get a full answer on that.
I don't know. I was trying to look it up there, and I can't get to get you an answer.
No,
but I can't.
It's all good.
Let me open it up. Yeah.
So okay. I'm going to touch on one game before you hit the last game that I think you're going to hit on because you know what game I want to talk about.
Okay.
And it's in the same state as the other game that you want to talk about. So the Fighting Rocco Becks are now 5-0, and they just dominated Arizona
They
I
sure
mean,
did.
dominated a undefeated Arizona team. Carson Hansen, 2 touchdowns. I'd love everybody to go back, watch my on-demand video of the stream where I absolutely lambasted a guy who said whose content I was reading, and he said, "You can't play Carson Hansen. He hasn't scored all year." And I said, "I guarantee he scores twice. That's BS analysis. Watch this." He scored 2 touchdowns. Now, it might have taken him 20 carries to get 63 yards for those 2 touchdowns, but but by goodness, he scored those 2 touchdowns and he made it on 18 points. He was a good value. Also, Rocco Becht with the stat line of the weekend, 9 carries, negative 10, remember, because sack yardage, 9 carries, negative 10 yards, 3 touchdowns. He might as well be Lenora Sellers out here. My man. Oh, and Chase Soul, who we wrote off for dead after the first couple weeks of the season, 4 catches, 146 yards this past weekend. They've got a new number 1 wide receiver, and it's a big man who can run like a gazelle. And they finally got rid of Eskildson, who actually was second on the team in receiving. But man, I'm excited for the fight in Rocco Becks. They look great. Big Orange, Dominique Orange, got a little banged up. That is the key to their run defense. They need him back healthy, but they're not going to be tested for about 5 more weeks until when I think they play Arizona State later in the year. They'll get destroyed by Utah and Texas Tech, who have dominant defensive lines, but otherwise they're going to beat everybody else.
Well, neither one on the schedule, so that's a huge boost. If you're picking 2 to go to the Big 12 championship game today, the undefeateds, I'm going to quickly run through them for you so the folks at home know. Iowa State, Arizona State, BYU, Houston, Texas Tech, Cincinnati. The one loss is being Utah, Baylor, Kansas State.
Yeah. Yeah,
TCU, Arizona, and UCF also have one.
So I got a bonus bet. Somebody sent me a bonus bet, and I was debating what team, like, is there a team that I'd be willing to put a bonus bet on for the national championship future? Because I thought I always like to put bonus bets on futures because I think it's more fun, and you get those long odds, kind of like horse racing, you know.
Yeah.
And I was looking at it, and the number 1 team that I thought had the best odds gap that I think isn't priced appropriately, I didn't bet them. I ended up with a Heisman bet, so we'll get to that in a bit. But my number 1 bet, I wanted to take Texas Tech because
Yeah,
I
guns
think
up,
they
right?
have.
Yeah.
I think they've bought the 2 best defensive ends in the conference. Like, they're going to dominate that conference. They have 2 quarterbacks that are worthy of being a playoff quarterback. They've got great weapons on the outside, good running backs. The offensive line is very good now. The defensive line's great. I don't know, man. I think based off of the fact that I don't think there is a dominant team, if I put Ohio State on the field with Texas Tech, do I think they blow Texas Tech out? And the answer is a no. I think it's a reasonable game. I don't know, man. I just have this feeling about Texas Tech. I feel like I like them a fair amount. But yeah. Is there a team that you feel like you at longer odds you'd be willing to bet for at current that you would say, hey, I like this team and I think they could win a national championship? Because, like, for instance, the only other game that I know that we're going to talk about from this past weekend has to be Indiana surviving at Iowa. Would you take Indiana over Texas Tech
I would not.
to win the national championship?
I would not. No.
And Texas Tech has longer odds. I think Texas Tech is a better, well-rounded team than Indiana is, and I love Indiana. And I think Indiana has all the pieces. I do just have concerns because Indiana really had to fight their way to win this game. I mean, this game was 13-13 with like 30 seconds left in the game, and Mendoza hit Surratt for a 49-yard touchdown to win this thing. I thought this game was going to be a rout because the first minute of it, like, Indiana scored a touchdown with Omar Cooper, and it was a drive right down the field. And they did, like, Mendoza scored a touchdown passing in the first minute of the game and the last minute of the game and did not do anything in between.
Yeah, Texas Tech has longer odds than
A lot of teams that I
Michigan,
would pick them over. Yeah, exactly. That's ridiculous.
Notre Dame, Texas A&M, LSU, Oklahoma. I think the rest of this list is probably fair, but I think I would be in that. I mean, I think Texas Tech belongs in the same group as Oklahoma, Ole Miss. I mean, they're three times less likely
I thought
per these odds.
Missouri was interesting as well.
Missouri at plus 6,000 seems very interesting as well. Iowa State's
Yes.
plus 11,000.
Yeah, but they're
Um,
not. They can't
I don't think
beat
they're a
any team with.
championship team.
They can't beat any team with a good defensive line. They don't have the offensive tackles to hold up. I don't think they have that. I think Texas Tech does though. So like Texas Tech and Missouri, I would put ahead of Michigan, Tennessee, Indiana, LSU, Notre Dame, Texas A&M, and I'd put them right there with Oklahoma, Ole Miss, Miami. So they should be at 20-1.
The teams with the longest odds to win that I think have a legitimate chance to win the championship, Arizona State, is 120 or 12,000 to 1, or plus 12,000.
Yes.
12,000 to 1. That'd be insane.
That would be awesome.
That
Yeah,
would be
I would
amazing.
say yeah. Anyway, we'll
iffy, but in terms of actual chances to win
way
it, I
to
just
go.
hear. Yeah.
Yeah, we got a long way to go.
This upcoming week, the Friday slate does not interest me at all. BYU's hosting West Virginia. That's the only ranked matchup on the sheet. I don't. Everything else is 3-1
Oh,
versus
it's
1-3. Delaware and Western Kentucky could be the only thing I think if you're desperately looking for college football on a Friday night that could grab your TV there.
I like Western Kentucky plus money line in that one. That seems like a good money line spot. They're playing well. Maverick McIver is going to throw for 300 yards. But to your point, I don't think there's barely a good game on Saturday, much less during the week.
Your boys, Iowa State, are road underdogs at Cincinnati to open the noon slate. I found our first money line dog of the week.
Yeah, but this is
it's pretty much even.
It's not even plus money. Like it's minus. I got it. I got the odds. Well, the odds I have right now, you got hard rocked up. You got different odds. So I got minus money. But yeah,
Iowa legal State, in my state. That's right.
Iowa State's close.
Yeah, it's plus 110.
The fight in Sorsby's in this one is going to be a tough spot. I think this is an interesting game. I'm going to be interested in getting a feel for it. I don't. Cincinnati has a good defensive line, but they just got absolutely manhandled by Kansas. So I don't know that I would have much confidence in Cincinnati's team overall. So I would say I feel pretty good about Iowa State being able to stop the run and hold them down for sure. And there's just a ton of bad games this week.
Can I interest you in Bill Belichick as a 2-touchdown dog at home against Clemson?
I didn't even put that game on the list of ones to even talk about. I've had a total of 7 games, and miraculously, obviously, you knew I was going to have Iowa State Cincinnati because I do like Sorsby. But yeah, that game's awful. That's an awful game. I'm not even going to waste my time.
I'm just gonna say the words, and we're gonna keep it moving. I don't hate Oklahoma State with the way they played last week.
I don't even want to talk
about it. I didn't even want to reference it. We'll keep it moving. Texas is -7 at Florida.
I don't think it's enough. It's moving too. It's going under 7.
The over under is 44.5.
Hey, so I was clicking through and I was looking at next week's slate last night, and it popped up on my app, on my score app, and it said over under. It said Texas -7.5, and it said initially over under 53.5. And I was like, oh, I need that now. And so I was going to bet the house. I'm like, I go in the app and it's at 43.5. And I'm like, damn, you screwed me. You had a bad thing on the screen. It wasn't there.
Oh,
so yeah, that was terrible. I think this game is a race to 20 to see who wins it. This is a terrible game. This is the game that everybody had circled as probably being a game day game. And it is one of the absolute worst games. It's going to be terrible.
Well, the game day game is number 16 Vanderbilt at number 10 Alabama at 3:30.
As it should be.
Bama is a 10.5-point favorite in this one. I mean, that's another game I'd argue for, but that's okay. Vandy is a 10.5-point dog here.
It's actually, I have an 11.5. I think we're going sprinkling.
I think we're right. It's
I think we're sprinkling.
Look, I will tell you this to the end of time. If you've listened to this show for the 3+ years we've been doing it, I will always believe that college football and really football in general, but college football especially, the analysis is always too knee jerk. It is always that team is ass, that team is great. That team is ass, that team is great. And we just did the Bama thing where we said, oh no, it was just a bad week one. They're great. And Vandy is just Vandy. But Vandy, not terrible.
What I'm going to say is you look any further than we predicted Illinois to win against a ranked USC team that was undefeated a week after they lost 63-7. Like, do we need to say any more?
Well, I mean, it's the same thing with Georgia Tech beat Clemson, so then that means automatically Georgia Tech is unbeatable. It's
no.
LSU beat Clemson; they're clearly unbeatable, and it's just if you believe something is an absolute truth, you don't know it, and that's where it's wrong. Honestly, I started almost talking myself into Penn State towards the time of kickoff for Oregon because everybody just kept saying, "Well, obviously Oregon's going to win." I'm like, man, that's a lot of people saying obviously Oregon's going to win. I mean, obviously the game went double overtime and it wasn't as lopsided as it seemed like the general public was. The end result was still there, but yeah, I think I'm willing to sprinkle with Vanderbilt. Boise is plus 17.5 at Notre Dame. And again, at the spread here is 64.5. It's an enormous number.
I like it.
I like it. It's the thing though, right? I think Notre Dame, again, Jeremiah Love is fantastic. CJ Carr looks very good. I feel like we just swing way too far the other way. It's just, we love doing the thing with, like, well, you tell me where they lose. If they're better than Arkansas, they can go on the road and beat Arkansas, then clearly they're better than everyone else on the schedule. And it's like, yeah, but they're like 20. Like,
I want to.
They can't even legally drink.
I want to sprinkle. I like him, man. Boise's playing good. They've found something with Riley. Yeah, the running back that they've been trotting out there lately.
Oh, the new Genty.
Davis Riley. Thank you.
Yes,
I got that one figured out. It just came to me. Yeah, he's the new Genty now. Now that Sire Gaines has been limited, Malik Sherrod was never going to be the answer. John Bray Dubar is a little banged up. It is scary that I know 4 running backs for Boise State. I know. But yeah, I think Boise, Maddox Madsen, all that experience he got last year is only going to help him in this spot. Notre Dame, we know, is not a good defense whatsoever. I think that Boise, the game plays into their hands that it's on that slow track in South Bend for sure.
Virginia is now ranked. They're 6.5-point dogs at Louisville. I guess I understand how Virginia's ranked. They just beat Florida State, but I don't know how people get to vote in this thing.
Hey, is that where you wanted game day to go? Right, that's where game day should be on.
Louisville, I really wanted them in
Virginia.
Louisville. Yeah,
they should have.
That's where I was pulling for it. Yes.
Yeah, that's
my choice.
So here's what I would say. I think Louisville is going to be the determining factor as to us finding out who the best team in Virginia is. We've already seen Louisville beat the Dukes on a very close game, a good game. Louisville very much so struggling with the run game. They were terrible. Isaac Brown banged up. Duke Watson banged up. They both tried to play through it last week, had no run game. Miller Moss carried the team on his back. Chris Bell looked like a true Brom wide receiver 1. I don't know, man. After that big game, that big win behind me, and that student section that my dad and I quote said, they all look like UVA students there. There's a specific look where you wear khakis and flip flops and a polo. Um, I'm not going to say what I think it looks like, but we'll just leave it at that. I
Keep it
grew up
moving.
there. I'm allowed to kind of give them some bull junkie, as Coach Prom would say. But yeah, this is a spot where I'm not sprinkling this because I don't like the fact that Virginia won that game. I will root for Virginia, but the fact that they beat Florida State and then go on the road against Louisville, I wish Louisville was a dog here.
Yeah, I also like Louisville here. And the thing that is going to interest me as we continue to talk about the teams that are likely to win the conferences that they have. Louisville goes to Miami the following week after this one, and then the schedule after that not terribly difficult. Boston College, Virginia Tech, Cal, Clemson, and it's the Cal coming from. They're playing that one in Kentucky, not in Cal. Clemson, SMU to wrap out their ACC schedule. A team that's going to be, it seems like, as always, Louisville who does it, but could be a team that's playing the role of somebody needs them to lose to get into this game, get into this Charlotte kind of realm of things. Maybe that's the Georgia Tech, maybe that's Miami, maybe it's Florida State trying to get in there. But Louisville seems to be setting themselves up again to be that team that's just lurking in the way of someone else who probably legitimately has a shot to win something. We keep it kind of moving here towards the night slate, and I apologize. I know we're running long. There was just so much football to talk about last week. I really have no interest in Minnesota, Iowa, Ohio State. This one is certainly not as jam-packed as last week, given the game slate. This is where I would have sent game day. Miami heading to Florida State. That would probably been my pick. I feel like Bama's had it plenty enough, but whatever. It's fine. We can go to Bama. Miami, number 3. They're heading to Florida State. Florida State obviously dropping down to number 18. Quite a big drop for them, which is interesting because they just lost to number 24 Virginia, ranked Virginia, a good football team. But I digress. Florida State's a 4.5-point dog at home here. I love a home dog, baby. I love a home dog. I mean, again, we're doing the thing, right? Where it's just Florida State was a great
1 out
team.
of 2.
It's a huge flip back the other way to now Florida State's a borderline ranked team. I just disagree with it. Obviously, rivalry game at home. I get it's a punch in the face, and it's Sunday right now, and the fan base and the general vibe around it is oh great, they won our season or whatever. But I just think I think this is a really good Florida State team.
Wide right. We'll see, man. I don't know.
Well,
I don't like Carson Beck. I said coming into the year, I don't think Miami's good. I laid a lot of money on Notre Dame. I was wrong. Although we've seen kind of what Notre Dame is at this point. So do we really think Miami's that good? Do we really think if you know what I mean? I haven't seen Miami be tested yet. Miami has not been tested. They've passed everything they've faced. But I think I would say midterms are coming, and I'm interested to see how they do with this team because Gus Malzahn can draw some stuff up if he's in his bag. I like Florida State in this game. I think they're playing inspired. I think they're going to come off of that loss to Virginia. That's an unexpected loss, and actually take care of business in this spot. I think this is a good spot for Florida State.
Speaking of Florida State here, so this is Miami's first road game of the year, right? Yeah. It's a tough spot to have your first road game. Obviously, I don't think Carson Beck will be bothered by that, given his experience, SEC, Georgia, the road games, of all that kind of thing for the last couple of years, the playoff games, the big spots he's been in before. But I don't trust his receiving core very much. I'm interested to see how they play in what won't be that Hard Rock Stadium setup. I'm very interested in what that team's going to look like. To your point, Florida State's loss, we had talked Florida State at some point was going to lose a game on a Gus Malzahn game. Mm-hmm. This one wasn't that. It was just a couple of good Virginia defensive plays. But they didn't do the Gus Malzahn turtle up. We just got to run the ball straight ahead into the center 6 times in the game, 6 times in a row. But that could certainly happen. But yeah, I'm with you. I'm more than happy to sprinkle Florida State here.
Final sprinkle.
We talked quite a bit about Mississippi State, right?
That's right.
14.5-point dogs at A&M.
Give it to me.
What's the money line number for Mississippi State on this one?
Plus 430.
Yeah, I'm there. That's a
I'm
big number,
all there. Because think about it, we just named off 4 games. If this one hits, it pays off the other 3.
and it'll pay off all of them. And
Yeah,
again, I'm gonna be happy.
exactly.
I'm gonna be happy to take them as well on just a on take the 14.5. Like I have
Yeah,
no problem doing that as well. I think that's a lot of what I did last week was just take the points and the home
yeah,
and then take the home dog. So I've kind of got the chance to double it up. Worst case scenario, I probably cover myself with the spread. Maybe I lose like 8 cents, but I'm fine with it.
yep.
Yeah, I got it at plus 455 here in
Even
Florida at
better.
plus.
Good job, Hard
So
Rock and the Seminole gang. Yeah. So, all right. So let's wrap this thing with one question here. I mentioned the Heisman odds.
yeah.
I used my bonus bet on a Heisman contender.
All right, hold on, let me pull
I'll
up my
be
list.
I'll be interested to see who do you think it has like who do you think should be the front runner? Should it be Dante Moore right now? And who has a realistic chance to win the Heisman going forward? Trinidad Shambliss coming in at plus 1,200, which is insane because I don't
I
know
got
that
him at
he can
plus
get the
16.
numbers.
I don't think he can
Okay,
either.
okay. I don't think he
Plus
can.
1,600. Yeah.
I thought Ty Simpson's an interesting one, but how is he tied with Jeremiah Smith at the second and third at second? Like that's wild. Mendoza made a ton of sense to me at 14 or in that range. But I'm out. I can't do that. I don't think Sayan wins it at all. If he was going to win it, it would be Jeremiah. Pavia's a no-go. I think his odds go tank after this week potentially, especially if they lose. Aguilar, no. Marcel Reed, no. Stockton, no. He just played too terrible. Levitt, he's not played well enough early portion of the season. Haynes King is in play, maybe. CJ Carr, no. Dampier, no. He hadn't played well enough. Pribula, I thought was it. This is where we start to get to the fun range. I like the Pribula call. And I already have a lot laid down on like Jeremiah Love, Mateer. I was interested in actually at 55. I thought that was a fun way to play this.
I
And
think
then
the
I
surgery is
already,
going to be a thing there.
that's what I'm worried about. But maybe is he back by Texas? Does that kill him? I don't know. I already have bets on DeMond Williams and Sawyer Robertson, so I didn't want them at 80. I thought Sawyer Robertson was a good shout for sure for this. I took Jaden Maeva at 30.
I got him at
Um,
35 right now in front of me. Yeah.
so I took Maeva at 30, and I looked up the schedule, and like I said, he played well in a game that they lost by 2. His numbers are still very good already on the season. He has that rushing and passing upside in the Lincoln Riley system. He's won multiple Heisman's before with his guys. So the rest of the games this season at home versus Michigan, good marquee game for him. At Notre Dame, we mentioned that the Notre Dame defense is poo-poo, so that's a good spot for him to be able to do that. At Nebraska is the only game that I'm concerned about, but Nebraska not great defense. And then he's home for Northwestern, home for Iowa, at Oregon, and home for UCLA. So he's really only got one tough defense on the road out of his time zone. I like the way the schedule sets up personally for Maeva to be able to have a chance to throw, have a 300-yard average and multiple touchdowns with the weapons he has on the outside going forward. They're also averaging over 30, like almost 50, 45 points a game right now.
Yeah, I think the hard part is going to be how many people are going to watch him play, and then it's going to become towards the end of the year where he is in the conversation. Then I think he's going to have to win the Big Ten title.
Well, I think you have I think it helps him because he has Michigan, Notre Dame, and Oregon on the schedule still.
Fair, but I think you got to win them is where you're going to end up. I don't think you're going to be able to get away with losing.
But I think they can beat Michigan, they can beat Notre Dame,
Agreed.
and then
Agreed.
they're in it with a real chance against Oregon, especially if this Oregon offense doesn't develop from where it is right now.
So the name that I like the most currently on the board is Jeremiah Love plus 2,500 for me.
Yeah, I already got him before the season at 40.
Elsewhere on the board, I'm not opposed to going to because there is no front runner at this point. No one has crazy stats. No one is I think really leading a great team at this point. Obviously, there's no dominant team. Dante Moore, I, I think he played
I
well. I don't think it was one like if that's the front runner though. It wasn't like he carried the team heroic. Like, unfortunately for Haynes King, if Haynes King and Georgia Tech did the exact same things they've been doing, but we're doing it in the
the
Texas
Big Ten.
jersey,
Yeah.
he's the front runner. But it's not going to happen for Haynes King. But no one's doing that on one of the teams that are front of the board. So I wouldn't be afraid to go to some of these preseason favorites, Arch, Nussmeyer.
Oof.
Um,
Go
I
back to
don't like
Arch
them
at 50-1. I don't hate the idea of buying a little extra Arch at 50.
because my thing is so for Texas, they're coming out of a bye. No one's dominant. No one's carrying the whole thing. If Arch settled in the bye and plays like what we'd have expected for 12 games over the next, I don't know, 8 or 9, I forget how many they've already played. We're gonna go with, hey, it was jitters, baby, but he's carrying a great Texas team. Even if he's not, the priors are going to come in there. So that's where I wouldn't be afraid to find some of those preseason favorites, and try to find spots. I also like Bayron Morton. I got him at plus 7,000 here.
I would also like to point out that if you're willing to bet on, who did you say earlier? Haynes King at those low odds, because he's running the table in the ACC, you should really like Rocco at 300-1. Undefeated, 3 rushing touchdowns last week.
I got him at plus
You
9,000 here.
You just got to get your odds, get your money in at the right time on Rocco. Rocco's always in it for a chance to win it, man.
Oh man, you and your Rocco stuff. I can't
I love
complain. It is
Rocco.
what it is. Just quickly glancing the board, Kansas is at UCF also this week. They're minus 3.5. That feels low for me. I think UCLA. I think Kansas is probably better than UCF, more than 3.5 points worth.
There's some just that dude. You hit every good game. The rest of the games are just. We're gonna be breaking down. I'm gonna be breaking down some rough stuff. This is like non-con. This is usually like week 2 type games, like just terrible. Everybody's playing an FCS team style stuff. Like it's like they've managed to find a way to have all of the good teams play all of the bad teams this week.
Well, we probably could have distributed last week out a little bit, but I'm happy to have banger weeks, and college football always finds a way. There'll be something. This is
like they always say. This is a good weekend. Take your family out to dinner, take them out to lunch, have a nice family day, so that when you have weeks like this past weekend, then your wife can't complain when you say, "Hey, honey, I'm sitting on the couch. I'm watching football all day." Mom was out of town. I took a day off from work to be able to watch the Friday night stuff. Like, that's how we work.
Yeah.
Some of us are sick like that, but there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with it.
For next week, I will be at Disney on Sunday night with my son doing the trick or treat thing there. So, if you want to do the recap / preview show on Sunday without me, you can. But if you wanted to hold off for a different day,
this is a terrible, terrible slate of games. I highly doubt that maybe anything even comes up. So we'll discuss Sunday.
Yeah,
where we're at.
So I at least won't be available on Sunday. So maybe you get Chris solo, or we find a different day, maybe Monday, to do it, and see how that looks.
Yep, that sounds good. So we will see you guys. Brian will see you probably in next week, if not the week after that. I will be back with full slate of content starting on Tuesday. Underrated game of the week. There we go. Darren's here saying that Drew Aller sucks. We are Penn State. Yes.
We love you, Darren.
Thank you. You're welcome.